Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. So I know we've all got them. We've got plenty of junk mail envelopes all stashed away. And if you've been looking for a new kind of project to use them up, then I've got a bit of an idea for you. So my idea is to create these journaling cards using the window of the envelope to frame a pressed flower, a pressed leaf. You could use fussy cuts, you could use stickers, but the idea is that we're going to frame this leaf or this flower in the window. So I've skipped parts of this video just to keep it nice and short and sweet for you. Didn't want it to be too long. But the idea is that you'll need your focal point. So here I'm just going to do a bit of a show and tell. The first leaf that you see, this actually came out of this vintage book. I sell book pages on my Etsy shop. Sometimes the books come with various things in, and this leaf was inside. Somebody had obviously used the book to press away. And that was the inspiration behind this particular project. I wanted to find a way to use that. So I went off and pressed a bunch of other flowers and leaves to go in the window of my envelopes that I had. So alongside your focal point and your envelope, you'll also need some kind of backing sheet to put behind the leaf or flower. So in this case, I'm using a printable that I've made. It's just some ephemera that I've scanned in. You'll need some kind of backing because this is going to be a journaling card. So I've used a vintage book page, but you could use tea-dye paper. If you don't have any ephemera, I've just been showing there that you could use, I've got some ledger that you could use, or you could use, greeting card script. You could use scrapbook paper. There are various different things that you could use. Also, if you don't have pressed flowers or leaves, because it does take a while to do them, or if you're not sure how to do it, then you could use fussy cuts, you could use stickers. These ones I got off AliExpress. As you can see, they're kind of like pressed flowers. So you could use something like that instead if you want. The idea is still the same, but in this case I'm using real leaves and flowers that I've pressed myself. Alongside those bits, you'll also need some stiff card. So I'm using an old cereal box, but you could use any kind of cardstock will do. It's just to give the card a bit of thickness so that it's not too flimsy. As you can see here, I've also put a bit of a specimen number on the front with this little cluster. So it's, for some reason I decided to turn the card upside down to show you, but basically it's some tea bag. There's a little bit of white cheesecloth behind the tea bag, and then I've got a specimen number that came from a digital. All of the sort of main supplies that I use, I will list below, like the digitals and things, just so that if you do want to use the exact same stuff, you'll know where to get those. So the idea with the junk mail envelope is you want to cut it open so that you can get inside to that window. You don't have to keep the back of the envelope. There's two ways you could do this. You could either decorate up the back of the envelope with your backing paper and then sandwich the leaf in between the two. Or you could do what I'm going to do, which is cut it all out basically and just do layering with the different pieces of paper and card. I personally just found that it was easier for my brain to handle, but you could do it, either way. As you can see here, I'm just pointing out this splodge. I was really determined I was going to try and get that splodge in there, but it just, it wasn't going to work. So you'll see later on, I unfortunately have to cover that up. So anyway, as you can see here, I'm just cutting up the card. I did skip past that bit just because my trimmer is not very good. You don't want to see me battling away for 5 minutes with that. So you're basically cutting out around the envelope's window. And as you can see, I've literally just left, there's maybe 1 centimetre around each side. You could leave more, you could leave, I wouldn't go less. You don't want to make it too flimsy, but you could do a little bit more if you want a wider border. I just really wanted to use the window to, frame this leaf basically. Yeah, I'm still determined by that splodge, as you can see. Get over it, Justine, it's not gonna happen. As you can see, eventually I give up on the whole splodge and I just cover it up because it just it unfortunately just wasn't working. So I'm just framing the script background around my leaf. And then once I've decided where I want to have it, then I'm just going to cut cut out the scripty background and just use my window as the template to do so. So I hope you like this idea. I'm pleased that I came up with it, and I do like how they've turned out. So I'm excited for you to see them. I made a few. You'll see me make this one, and then I'll show some others that I've made as well that you'll be able to see. There's my cereal box. So really the cereal box is just to give this card a bit of strength and steadiness so that you can write on the back of it. You know, the leaf isn't going to get in the way. It's not going to be too bumpy because the card is giving you that flat surface to write on. And also it gives you strength. So if you're putting the card in and out of pockets and tuck spots and things, then obviously the card helps with that. Now what you'll find is I found it was easiest to glue the window side. You'll see me do that with my Yoo-hoo stick in a minute. Yoo-hoo? Yoo-hoo? I never know how to say that. I think it's Yoo-hoo, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, so you basically want to glue around the window. I used the Yoo-hoo stick because I found that it was easier for me to control where the glue was going to go, because you obviously don't want to get it on the window. I still managed it at the top, but you know, these things happen. You can just wipe it off. Whereas with the I've got the Beacon 3-in-1 glue, and I just find that the nozzle is quite wide, and I just can't always guarantee where it's going to gloop out everywhere, you know. So in the end, I decided to go with the Yoo-hoo stick, because you can always use the 3-in-1 glue or Fabri-Tac or whatever glue you've got to make things stronger later on. It's just at this point I was more concerned about being careful with where I put the glue. So once you've glued around that edge, you can then obviously frame your leaf and just glue straight down to the backing paper. What you'll find in a minute is you'll see the leaf does slide around on me a little bit. If you know, it doesn't, once everything's stuck down, the leaf stays put, but until that point you might find that it slips around. If that's going to annoy you when you're making these, then obviously, you know, feel free to glue the leaf down as well, or the flower. In this case I didn't bother. And once everything is glued down, as I say, it's nicely sandwiched inside, so you won't find that it slips after that, after you finished making them. As you can see, yes, I'm just testing it. It doesn't move. That's fine. We're all glued down, so yeah, it's not going anywhere. Now at this point, I just start making sure that I definitely have the backing paper where I want. I can be a bit of a perfectionist at times, so you'll see me play around with that for a little while. Hopefully not too long. I have trimmed this video down as best I could. And then I'm just neatening up some of the edges, and then we'll be ready then to glue this straight onto that cereal box piece that you can see next to me, and then we'll be ready to back it with either tea-dye paper. I used a bit of blank book page. Just, you want something that you can write on, so you could use a nice like pale cardstock, or you could use some nice scrapbook paper that you've got. Anything that you think you would enjoy writing on, then obviously you can use that as the backing piece. But in the meantime, you'll want to do this cereal box. I just glued it down with my Yoo-hoo stick, and then the final piece, as I say, is that backing piece, whether it's tea-dyed paper or book page, or some other paper you might have. So you'll see me in a minute. I have a bit of a tussle with what glue to use. I end up using both. So you'll see me chopping and changing between the two. In the end, I decided to go with the first layer of Yoo-hoo stick, and then I used the 3-in-1 glue afterwards. I just felt like it was safer to be best to be safe than sorry. Use both glues, because this is obviously the important bit, with the fact that it's you know, it's the final piece, and it's the piece that you're going to be writing on. So you definitely don't want that coming up as you're using it. So as you can see, I'm just giving it a good helping of glue, and then I'm popping it down onto my, in my case, book page, but you could, as I say, use tea-dyed paper or something else. And once you've got that positioned, it's then just a case of cutting it out. And then you will essentially have your completed base of this particular journaling card. And then you're free to decorate how you like. So obviously, if you want to see what I do, keep watching. You'll see that I use distress inks. I do another one of the specimen number clusters, and then I do a couple of other things. So if you'd like to see what I do, keep watching. And as I say, I've made a couple of others, so I'll show you them all at the end as well, because they're all different. And I've tried to do a few different variations, so hopefully you'll like the others as well. You can see me being a perfectionist now. I'm still trying to make sure it's all glued down completely. I do tend to do that a few times. Double check and triple check and quadruple check. That's my motto. This is when I noticed that my leaf isn't actually centered, which was a bit annoying, but then I decided, you know what, it doesn't matter. So I am going to round the corners. I do think it just finishes it off nicely, but I'm not going to put you through this. My corner puncher, I really need a new one because it's awful. So I have trimmed that bit out because, I battle with it for about 5 minutes. So I really need to buy a new one, but it works. It's just not very good. The spring broke on me. Anyway, so now my next step is just to go around all of the edges with this distress ink. And obviously I've chopped that out because you know how to distress stuff. This is me just pointing out, I did have a bit of an issue with the 3-in-1 glue, does sort of like react with the distress ink, so you might find that, but I don't mind so much. It sort of adds to this whole vintage feel anyway. So this is me just pointing out the stencil that I used on the previous card. And I was trying to decide whether to use that again or go for something else. In the end, I go with something else. And I got all of these stencils just in a pack off of eBay. They were really cheap. I was really pleased with them. I think they just come from, the usual AliExpress type of suppliers. So in the end, I decided on this. It's like a chain swirl type effect, which I thought would be a bit different from the last one. And for this, I'm just going to go all around all the edges, stenciling away. But I use a different brush. I use a fine bristle brush. It just allows you to get into the grooves of the stencil a bit easier, and it gives you a sort of lighter touch compared with the previous brush I was using, just in case you're looking for some new brushes to use. That's what I tend to use for my stenciling, is the fine bristle brushes. So I'm just going to position this in place. And then I'm going to go over it. As you'll see me do it a little bit, is ever so lightly going over, because I don't want a super dark pattern. And that's when I noticed that I hadn't actually drunk my tea. So finally had a sip of tea. And as I say, light touches, and I'm just going to go around all of the edges to frame that window. And here it is finished. This is what it looks like with the swirls. So this is where we're up to now. And obviously I'm just comparing the two, trying to decide which one I like best. I kind of like both, so I'm not, I think either stencil works in this case. And the next step is to add some cluster detail. So on the previous card, as I said, I used tea bag and a little bit of fabric, and I had this specimen number from a printable. So I was trying to do something a little bit different from that. In the end, I go with the same idea, but I do something different at the top. Obviously, this is a different sized card, and it's a different sized leaf. Everything was different, and I was just finding no matter what I was trying, it always felt like the sort of opposite corner from what I was decorating just ended up feeling like uneven and empty. So you'll see me, I just play around with a few different options, and I've just got all my little pieces cut out in front of me. And I am pleased with how it turned out in the end. And I like that it's different from the first one. Obviously, I was trying to do something similar so you could see exactly what I had done with the first one, but I also wanted them to be different because I imagine them going in the same journal. You know, they both have a similar sort of look, so I imagine them going in the same journal. So I did want them to be a little bit different. So as you can see, I'm just playing around with this ruffle that I was determined to use. But then I felt like, yeah, if I put it in that corner, the other corner looked too empty, and vice versa. So in the end, I decided to go with my original idea. So I'm getting up this, it's like a cheesecloth type of material. It's quite sheer. I like it as a background. And then this is just some tea bags. So when I do my tea dyeing, I save up all of the tea bags, dry them out, empty them, and then you've got this great sort of cluster material, collaging material, which looks very vintagey. And again, I'm putting things down and thinking that corner still looks empty. So I'm just trying to decide what to do. But I do like the specimen numbers on it, so I'm happy with that. But I still feel like the top or the corner is empty. So in the end, I think, would this be a good, could it be a tag topper? But I still felt like it was missing something. So I tried a couple of different options. And in the end, I decided on this word nature, which also came from a different digital. So I'll also link that one below. And I'm just trying to decide whether I like this or not. Take a sip of tea. Do I? Yes. Let's go for it, she says. I think it was funny, this is one of the first tutorials I've done on video, and I felt like I had to be quick in my decisions. So, you know, normally I'm a little bit indecisive. I'm sure we all are, where I'm, you know, moving things around and trying to decide where to put things. But yeah, being on video, you kind of have to do it a little bit quicker, otherwise this video would have been, I don't know, an hour long. But I kind of think that helped me, actually. Helped me be a bit quicker, and sometimes your first instinct, or at least your gut instinct, is the right thing to go for. So yeah, having to be quick with my decisions, I think, helped. So with the specimen numbers and also with that nature word at the top, I just ink around very lightly around the edges, and I do a little bit over the actual card part as well. So my thinking behind this was really just, you know, if you were in like a vintage laboratory and you were putting together this faux specimen card, I guess, you would be just grabbing, you know, whatever you had in your office, I guess. That was kind of the story or the thinking that I had behind it. So, you know, you'd be grabbing a bit of note paper, and then you've got a bit of this, well, in this case, tea bag, but it would be, it's like, it's almost like a bit of vintage paper that you're just grabbing to put down. And I really like the whole look. I just feel like it does look very vintagey, which is what I was going for. And I like that they look very earthy as well, with all the browns, with the greens. I did feel like it did go quite well, I think. I hope you like them as well. I hope you like the idea. And once I finish with this one, I'll get the original one back in. And then I've also made a couple of others which are slightly different, and I'll show you them all. So they might give you some ideas of how else you could do this. Because in the other two, I use scrapbook paper instead of the printable script that you see behind this one. I appreciate you coming and watching these videos, by the way. I really do. It's great to have you here, and it's great to be able to share my makes with you. I hope you find them inspiring. And as I say, I've got a couple more to show you of these particular journaling cards, so I'll get those out in a moment. And here they are. Here's the original one. So this is what spurred the idea. I didn't stamp that number on the back that came with the book page. I just left it because I thought it was interesting. This is the one we've just made that you've seen me do on video. Here's the next one I made. So with this one, I actually used a pressed flower. I added tea bag and that same cheesecloth actually into the window this time. Added a tab, added some pearls, and then the back of it is scrapbook paper from the Stamperia Provence pad, I think it is. I'll link that below just in case you want to use it. And with this one, it's the same scrapbook paper as the other purple one. a bit of tea bag, another number from a digital, and then I've added an eyelet and some twine trim. And that's how that one looks. So as you can see, they've all come out differently, but I do like how they've come. In the next video, I'm going to be making pockets with some pressed flowers and leaves. So I do hope you'll stay tuned for that one. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.